The large Vienna auditorium, illuminated by warm golden lights in the early evening, vibrates with an anxious murmur as businessmen, athletes, and young students settle into red velvet armchairs. On the screen behind the stage, a frozen image of a young Arnold Schwarzenegger posing as Mr. Olympia dominates the scene, contrasting with the silence that falls when the presenter announces, "With you, Arnold Schwarzenegger." Arnold enters slowly, his dark suit perfectly tailored, his steps firm but his face more tired than the audience is used to seeing, raising his hand in a restrained wave. The sound of applause fills the hall, echoing off the light wood walls, and some people raise their cell phones to record, expecting another motivational speech about success. He stops behind the acrylic podium, stares at the sign for a few seconds, his expression serious, and only then approaches the microphone, taking a deep breath before speaking. Under the white light shining directly on him with the auditorium already in complete silence, Arnold rests both hands on the podium, his knuckles whitened by the force, and surprises everyone by beginning in a hoarse tone, and without his usual smile, "I didn't come here today to talk about success." A few glances are exchanged in the front rows, confused. As he continues, "I spent my whole life repeating that no one wins alone, that we need help, but I myself ignored the help that mattered most. The people I hurt along the way." A slide behind him changes unexpectedly, showing a photo of him older, sitting alone in a dimly lit kitchen, staring at nothing instead of the victorious images everyone was expecting. He steps away from the podium, walks slowly from one side of the stage to the other, one hand on his waist, the other gesturing heavily, and says what no one tells you in speeches is the price you pay when you choose to be a hero to the world and a stranger to your own family. A collective sigh runs through the room, and a young woman in the third row lowers her cell phone, realizing this is not the usual speech. Still on the same stage, a few minutes later, the atmosphere grows heavier as the house lights dim slightly, leaving only Arnold highlighted, almost theatrical, under the central spotlight. He begins to speak more quietly, forcing the audience to lean in to hear. "I betrayed people, disappointed friends, failed as a husband, failed as a father, and for a long time I told myself it was part of the price of success." A middle-aged man in the audience lowers his head, squeezing the event program between his fingers, while a faint murmur of surprise ripples through the back of the auditorium. Arnold takes a long pause, his eyes glistening, and adds, "There is no motivational speech that can fix a broken relationship, no award that can make a child trust you again." The event camera closes in on his face on the big screen, magnifying every wrinkle, every micro-expression, and several people are caught discreetly wiping their eyes, struck by the uncomfortable honesty of that moment. In the same setting, a few moments later, the big screen starts showing rapid images from movies, political platforms, and bodybuilding competitions. While Arnold watches them for a moment in silence, his back to the audience, he turns around slowly and says, "You know this guy, the Terminator, the champion, the governor, that's the character I fed for decades." The audience stays motionless, mesmerized as he takes a step forward, moving out of the screen's shadow and placing himself fully exposed to the light. "Today, I wanted to introduce you to another version, the man who apologized too late, who slept in empty hotels, who looked in the mirror and didn't like what he saw." The brutal honesty of the account shatters the expectation of glamour, and someone in the back lets out a muffled "wow." Arnold cracks a sad half-smile and adds, "If you want a real piece of advice, here it is. Don't wait until you reach the top to realize you've climbed the wrong mountain." The atmosphere in the auditorium, still that same night, shifts from an expectation of entertainment to a kind of collective confession, and Arnold uses this dense silence to walk to the edge of the stage, physically drawing closer to the front row. He kneels down with some difficulty, brings the microphone closer to the face of a young man in a gray hoodie staring at him with wide eyes, and asks, "Are you ready to fail in front of the people you love just to impress strangers on the internet?" The young man swallows hard, speechless, and a nervous, isolated laugh echoes somewhere in the middle of the audience, then quickly falls silent. Arnold gets back on his feet, discreetly bracing himself on his knee, and says, "I was that person. For years." The sound of a chair creaking breaks the silence while a woman in the back rows crosses her arms, visibly moved, and he concludes with a firm voice, "Don't make the same mistake. The world doesn't need another, unattainable myth. It needs whole people present, honest about their own flaws." With his stage time already over, still at the same conference, the organizer gives a discreet signal from the side, but Arnold gently ignores it with a nod, keeping his gaze fixed on the sea of faces before him. He takes a deep breath and shifts his tone, setting guilt aside and making room for something close to hope. "I am not saying this so you leave here depressed. I am saying it because I discovered late that you can still change the narrative while you're alive." A few approving whispers ripple through, and someone starts a timid applause that quickly dies when he raises a hand, asking for calm. "Do you want a better secret than any cheesy, motivational gym phrase?" he asks, leaning his body forward. An attentive silence settles in. "The real muscle you have to train is the ability to ask for forgiveness, to admit you were wrong, to start over small. That doesn't get likes, doesn't make a poster, but it saves lives, saves families, saves yourselves." In the final minutes of the speech, under the same warm lighting that now seems softer, Arnold steps away from the podium and stands exactly in the center of the stage, with no barrier between him and the audience, just the lapel microphone clipped to his jacket. The big screen behind him goes completely dark, leaving only his silhouette highlighted, and he says with an almost intimate calm, "Maybe this is my last big speech like this in front of so many people." A surprised murmur runs through the hall, and a few cell phones are instinctively raised. Again. He smiles, this time with genuine lightness, and adds, "And if it really is, I want you to remember me not as the invincible guy from the movies, but as someone who finally understood that being strong means having the courage to be vulnerable." A deep, almost sacred silence takes over the place for a few seconds, until an isolated applause bursts from the front row, and in a matter of moments turns into a standing ovation, while Arnold simply inclines his head in gratitude, his moist eyes reflecting the audience on their feet before him.